Hello and welcome to Sport Vibes on DNT Work. My name is Bolaji Alimi, the Sports Pilot, and I'm your host. And this week, we are saying it's not too early to whet your appetite concerning the FIFA World Cup. Of course, it's no longer news that the draw has been made. Teams now know their fate. Teams know their opponents to face come November 2022. And right after this break, we'll be talking about some of the important matchups that will come up and some things you might need to know. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Sport Vibes on DNT Work. Thanks for staying with us. So we'll be talking about the FIFA World Cup. Of course, quite a number of teams in with a shout for the trophy. Teams are hopeful of going not just to make up the numbers, but to challenge for the trophy itself. And a number of teams will be hoping to do that, but we'll just look at a few, look at some of the interesting matches that would definitely take place because the group stage is fixed already. And interestingly, for the first time in a while, we will be seeing a group stage, or should I say an opening match that does not involve the host. Normally you would see the host nation playing the very first game of the tournament, but this time around it will be Senegal against the Netherlands in the very first game of the tournament according to the confirmed schedule released by FIFA. So the African champions will have the opportunity of opening the whole FIFA competition against the Netherlands come November 21, 2022. So that should be an interesting one. And another team that would have the chance, the opportunity of playing on the opening day would be England. The Three Lions will be playing on the opening day of the World Cup for the first time since the year 1966. Does that ring a bell to you? 1966 was the very first and the only time that the English national team won the World Cup. And as a matter of fact, the only major tournament they have ever won is still that triumph in 1966 by England. Of course, if you've been following football lately, they were able to make it as far as the finals in the Euro 2020, which was played in the year 2021, but they got defeated by Italy. And as a matter of fact, Italy have not qualified for this one as well. Quite a number of things you could say about this World Cup. Italy missing out to North Macedonia. That was a shocking one. Talking about the Euro 2020 champions not even qualifying for the World Cup. And a number of other things. But let's talk about England. England won the 1966 World Cup. They played on the opening day of the World Cup as well. You know, you have these many times in sports and in football where people bring things, similar scenarios together and say, since England played on the opening day of the 1966 World Cup and they eventually won it this time around, they would have the opportunity of playing on the opening day in Qatar as well. Could that be a good omen for them of something to come? I wouldn't want you to place your confidence on that alone. But of course, when you look at the quality they've got, the manner with which they've qualified, you would want to fancy England, really. Yes, they've always been fancied for many tournaments and falling short, disappointing their fans. But this time around, you just have a feeling that maybe this could be their time, maybe not. But they have the quality, definitely. There's no question about that. And apart from England, Italy has missed out. They could not qualify. They got defeated by North Macedonia. They fell to their hands at the playoffs. That was quite disappointing. But there are quite a number of other big teams. You still get the chance to see a number of big players safe for injuries. But big nations still in. Brazil, Belgium, France, Portugal. Talk about the Netherlands themselves. You have Spain, you have Germany. So there are quite a number of teams that, you know, when it comes to the World Cup, when it comes to world football across all stages, especially in men's football, these teams will be around the final four teams that will be vying for the title. So this time around, many of these teams have made it through as well. I want to talk about Brazil, the most successful team in the history of the FIFA World Cup. They won it 5 times. Made it to second place several times, 2 times, third position 2 times, fourth position 2 times. So these are teams that have almost a guarantee of going far. You rarely hear Brazil getting knocked out in the group stage of a World Cup. We've seen Brazil, we've seen nations like Spain, Germany do that. But when it comes to Brazil, even if they would eventually have a disappointing tournament, they still go as far as the knockout stages. So you would want to expect them to do the same this time around. Just a day before the group stage draws of the World Cup, they picked Belgium to the first place in the FIFA ranking, so they are really in for a shout. But the only concern, which their coach also has shared, could be the fact that in the last 2 years or so, they've not been able to test themselves against European oppositions. COVID-19 pandemic, of course, has limited movements across nations from South America to Europe, and of course, the European teams have been involved in the Euro Nations League, the UEFA Nations League, and that meant that they have little or no spaces to fit in international friendly. So for Brazil, that could only be the question: how would they fare when they come up against teams like Germany, against Spain, who are playing a different kind of football to the oppositions they have faced in South America? Nonetheless, when you've got quality, you should be prepared for any kind of opposition. If you want to win the World Cup, whatever comes your way, you should be able to handle. And of course, they should also get a chance to organize a friendly or two between these teams and themselves before the World Cup starts. So we keep our fingers crossed concerning that, and we take yet another break. After this, we talk about some fixtures, some matches that you should really look out for in the World Cup. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Sport Vibes on DNT Work. Thank you so much for staying with us. And I told you we would be talking about some matches you should look out for when the World Cup finally arrives. Of course, some teams are disappointed, some individuals, some nations are disappointed as to the fact that their teams, their nations are not going to be represented. But it's a game, it's sports. Regardless of what happens to your team or your favorite team, if you're a sport lover, you find another team to support and just roll with the flow. You're talking about some teams that have not even qualified at all for the World Cup. They have never qualified. Some have gone several years without qualifying. So if your team is missing out on the 2022 edition, come on, the 2026 edition is not so far ahead. God sparing our lives. So you just want to keep your fingers crossed and follow other exciting actions. There is club football for you to follow. Other sports, Formula 1, basketball, rugby, tennis, and a lot of exciting actions across the world of sports to keep you busy while ignoring your national team in football not qualifying. So there is a particular match coming up in the World Cup. It's been fixed already. A lot of people have tagged this a grudge game, and that is the match between Ghana and Uruguay. If you don't know the history between these two teams, I just take you through a brief history. In the year 2010 in the World Cup in South Africa, it was Uruguay against Ghana at the quarterfinals, 1-1 after full time, and then few seconds to the end of the extra time, Ghana were about to score. Up steps Luis Suarez, who was representing Ajax Amsterdam as a young striker back then, handled the ball and prevented Ghana from scoring. Of course, it was sent off due to that, but Asamoah Gyan, the Ghanaian forward, stepped up but missed the ensuing penalty kick. So after that, that meant that Ghana and Uruguay would go on to play penalty shootouts, one which Uruguay defeated Ghana 3-2, the final scoreline being 4-2 overall. That would have been the first time the continent of Africa would have a representative in the semi-finals of the World Cup. But a lot of Africans, a lot of Ghanaians disappointed, and many people still don't like Luis Suarez in Ghana till now. But this time around, Ghana has got a chance for payback, for revenge, if you like to put it that way. And as a matter of fact, the Ghanaian FA president, talking about Kurt Okraku, told the BBC Sport Africa that they will be looking at revenge definitely. Now let us talk about another interesting fixture already fixed in the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, and that will be between Spain and Germany. The last time Spain and Germany met each other was in 2020. That was in the UEFA Nations League. And surprisingly back then, Spain defeated Germany 6-0. But Germany now under coach Hansi Flick, they're a different team, a revived team, and you would not expect to see that, not in a World Cup. We've seen shocks in the past, but you would not expect that kind of affair to be that way. You expect a closer encounter this time around. And when you're talking about their recent history in the World Cup, of course, both of them are former champions. Spain won the World Cup in South Africa in the year 2010. Germany won in Brazil in 2014. But surprisingly, in the year 2018 in Russia, both had a dismal campaign. Spain were ousted in the round of 16, while Germany did not even make it past the group stage. But this time around, they have a chance of improving on that, and they will be facing each other in what seems to be the biggest game of the group stage, on paper at least. And from there, let's talk about this African team that many people also fancy to do well for themselves come the World Cup, and that is no other team than the African champion Senegal. So this is a team with quite a number of talent, or you want to talk about superstars, going beyond talent now, because their potential have been made manifest We talk about Sadio Mane up front, Idrissa Gana Gueye in the midfield, Kalidou Koulibaly in defense, Edouard Mendy being the goalkeeper, and of course a lot of other stars as well, not limited to these ones. So you want to fancy them because they've even gone beyond being that golden generation winning nothing, just topping Africa on CAF rankings. They've won the African Championship finally. They are now champions of Africa, and going on that confidence, you'd expect them to do well for themselves. In the year 2002, Senegal made it as far as the quarterfinals. They defeated France. France were the defending champions back then because they had won the 1998 edition. Senegal did not care about that. They defeated France in their opening fixture and went on to make it as far as the quarterfinals, only getting defeated by Turkey in extra time. So this time around, with this current crop of stars, you want to fancy Senegal to take it a step further, or at least match that record of getting as far as the semi-finals in a World Cup. And so as we wrap up the show this week on Sport Vibes, the vibe we'll be leaving you with, talking about a word of encouragement. We try and maintain the fact that it's not just about sports, it's not just about the excitement that surrounds sports. Sometimes just sit back and learn lessons, life lessons from sports. And which one do we bring to you this time around? We're talking about Canada. Canada had been waiting since 1986 till now because finally they have qualified. They had not qualified for the World Cup since 1986, which was their only appearance. And this time around, they have finally qualified after such a long wait. And so it's been a remarkable turnaround for Canada. They rose from the 72nd position to the 40th in men's FIFA ranking last year. And this time around, they have finally qualified for the World Cup because they are currently ranked 38th in the world. So that is quite an improvement. And all we're talking about is the fact that whichever area of life it seems nothing is coming through, is a family, business, career, academics, any ramification at all, if you don't give up as long as you keep at it, definitely there is light at the end of the tunnel. So do not give up. That is one of the lessons you can learn from sports, not giving up until you reach your targets. Thank you so much for watching Sport Vibes. If you enjoyed the video, click on the like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel to get the latest updates, and of course share the video with your loved ones. Don't forget to follow us across our social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Telegram, Twitter, LinkedIn. And that is the size of the show for this week. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Bolaji Alimi, the Sports Pilot. Bye for now.